Good morning. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with the 8:30 First Alert streaming show, and we are on alert today. We're on alert tonight through Tuesday morning as we are tracking some wintry weather. So we may start to see a little rain later today. Then as temperatures drop tonight, that's going to start changing over to kind of a slushy mix, maybe some sleet, and then eventually by the end of the night, it will change over to all snow. Now, because we're going to get a little bit of everything, the amounts are still fairly uncertain, but it does seem like most of us will get at least a dusting up to maybe an inch of snow. But if things pan out and we end up getting the higher end of the possibility here, we could see closer to 2 inches of snow across much of the tri-state. And because it's going to be a mix of different types of precipitation, it's not just snow either. Many of us may also see a thin glaze of ice, especially across western Kentucky. We are also not the only ones dealing with this, which is concerning for folks who are traveling, trying to get back home after the Thanksgiving weekend. There are winter alerts stretching from Kansas up through the Ohio Valley and then all the way out into New England and the East Coast there. So we are just one small part of this larger system. But most of the tri-state is under a winter weather advisory that starts tonight and continues through the overnight hours, and it ends at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning. So most of the tri-state under a winter weather advisory tonight through Tuesday morning for this wintry weather. Now, I do want to emphasize again, though, that this is for overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. This morning, you're clear, you're dry. Satellite radar showing there are a few clouds out there, but no rain or snow to speak of. It's going to be dry for most of the day today. So go on about your day. You're going to be just fine. By this afternoon, mainly after 3 p.m., that's when we could start to see a few spotty showers creeping in from the west. But at this time, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s. So it's going to be cold, but probably not cold enough to snow. Starting out, I think we'll see just a few very spotty light rain showers. Then as the sun sets, those temperatures start to drop and we'll start to see this changeover. At times we may have a little bit of everything even within just one county. You could go just a few miles and see rain, sleet, and snow this evening as we're going to be kind of changing over to this just slushy mess this evening. And then as those temperatures keep dropping as we head into the overnight hours, we'll see the rain coming to an end and really switching over to all wintry precipitation. So sleet or snow then as we get into the night, changing over to all snow then through the middle of the night tonight, tapering off then early Tuesday morning. Tuesday during the day, we actually won't see much snow at all. These snow showers will push off to the east and out of the tri-state probably by about 5 a.m. on Tuesday. So before the sun rises, the snow will already be out of here, but we keep the alert day going through Tuesday morning because the effects, the impact from that snow will then stick with us for much more of the day. Here's how one model paints this playing out. What I really want to draw your attention to is the spread here because it is possible parts of the tri-state could get just a tenth of an inch of snow. I mean, really just a dusting, whereas other areas, if things play out this way, could see an inch and a half up to close to 2 inches, just depending. But I will say that this particular model showing an inch and a half of snow for Evansville and a little more than a half inch of snow for Owensboro, it is on the higher end of many of our snow models. I want to compare that then to what some of our other models are showing. So I'm going to show you a total of 5 here. The one I just showed you was the HER model, the high rapid refresh. So the graph model, which is our in-house model, showing a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch with just kind of a sliver there running from about Union County through Henderson up into Warwick, where we could maybe see over an inch in some locations. The NAM, not impressed with the snow totals here at all. It's showing closer to a 1/4 inch for basically the entire tri-state. So not having anybody get up over a ½ inch, certainly not over an inch. As you work your way down the line here, then the European model going with closer to a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch for most of us, whereas the GFS It shows a small sliver of an area getting less than an inch, but it actually has much of the tri-state seeing an inch to an inch and a half of snow. So it's really going to depend on when exactly we make that transition from rain to snow, how much of it sticks versus how much of it melts initially, because the roads may be wet instead of frozen. It may take a few snowflakes down first before it really starts to cool off and stick. Anytime you have a transition system like this, it gets very messy, very hard to nail down the details. But what I want to drive home is that no matter what, this is not going to be a major snowstorm. It is going to have an impact, but when you look at the impacts on a scale of 1 to 5, the entire tri-state is expected to have minimal to minor impacts, a level 1 to level 2. So this is not going to be a major snowstorm. This is not going to be a situation where, you're going to have to hunker down for a couple of days, power outages and, all those kinds of things. We're not concerned about something like that. However, don't step out your door tomorrow morning and just go about your day business as usual. You'll want to give yourself a little extra time. There's a good chance there's going to be some snow or ice built up on your car. The roads may be slick. Just in general, you're going to have to allot extra time and expect everything to take a little longer first thing tomorrow morning, as I do think that the sidewalks and the roads in many areas may be slick first thing tomorrow morning. But again, that all depends on the exact time that this changeover happens. This is just kind of an approximation just to give you an idea, another way to visualize what we were just talking about. The rain starts out fairly isolated, and it does start out as rain. And then we see it changing over to kind of a slushy mix this evening. By the middle of the night, our best chance of snow, maybe still having a little rain or sleet mixing in, but generally changing over then by about midnight to all snow, and then we'll see light scattered snow showers through about 4 or 5 a.m. on Tuesday. After that, then it really dries out. So we're going to see this all kind of changing over through the night tonight, and it's hard to tell exactly how much of that will be rain versus sleet versus snow, but it will be enough that I expect we'll have some slick conditions. So mainly after 6 o'clock this evening is when we could start to see some of that wintry weather kicking in. Before that, if we see anything at all, it'll most likely be mainly rain. And I think the snow will be over by about 5 o'clock Tuesday morning. But because we will have a mix of ice and snow, I do think it will be enough. It doesn't take much for those roads and sidewalks to become a little slick out there. So you'll remember a few weeks ago we had that very little bit of snow. I mean, just a dusting of snow in many locations. It was on a Monday morning a few weeks ago. And just that little bit, we had several slide-offs, several accidents, car crashes where people were, just going their normal speed, maybe had their cruise control on. They weren't driving appropriately for the conditions in many situations. So I want to make sure you're aware, give you the heads up tomorrow morning. You'll probably still have to go to work. Many of you will still have to go to school. That's not my call. I don't know if they're closing the schools. That's not our decision. It's not going to be a lot of snow, but it may be enough snow that the roads and the sidewalks could be a little slippery. So just whenever you leave your house tonight or tomorrow morning, be very careful out there, as things could be a little slippery. All right, I'm going to take a quick check-in on the comments here. Good morning, Scott, Zach, Shelley, Ray, thank you for tuning in. Cheyenne saying the kids will be excited to see the snow in the morning. I again want to emphasize this, not going to be a lot. For many of you, you may even still, see the leaves sticking up through the snow. It's not going to be winter wonderland, but snowflakes are exciting nonetheless. We are in December now, so 'tis the season. It's always nice to have a little bit of snow when the Christmas lights are up. I always like that, but the concern is it could make for some slick roads and sidewalks. So be careful of that if you're going to be out very late tonight. But we're especially concerned about tomorrow morning when a lot of folks are hitting the road, heading off to school and work, especially on the bridges and overpasses. Things might be kind of slick. And even if they treat the roads today, if we do get some rain first, sometimes that kind of washes the salt away. And so the pre-treating isn't always as effective when you have these transition systems like what we're dealing with tonight. So just be aware of all of that. I do want to give a quick mention to our temperatures because that's also important here because the snow, whatever snow we get, may hang around for a little bit on Tuesday. Today we're on the chilly side, sitting in the upper 20s for most of us, a few spots breaking into the 30s now. Henderson, Dundee, Greenville all at 30. It's 26 right now in Evansville. Those temperatures, even though we will have kind of partly to mostly cloudy skies for much of the day, will keep climbing and eventually top out in the mid to upper 30s today. So it is going to stay chilly all day long. But then as those showers start to move in, notice we're still above freezing. So I do think this will start out as a few very light, very spotty rain showers. Then you see it kind of transitioning over to that just slushy, messy mix of rain, snow, and sleet this evening as those temperatures start to drop down to that 32-degree freezing point. Keep in mind though, just because the air gets below freezing doesn't mean the ground will be. So it may still not stick to the pavement at first. As the night goes on though, the temperatures will keep dropping. That wintry mix changes over to all snow. We'll eventually bottom out in the mid-20s by the end of the night tonight. So it will be cold out there first thing tomorrow morning. Then on Tuesday, that snow comes to an end early. I think the snow showers, whatever snow we're going to get, it's going to have fallen by 5, maybe 6 a.m. at the latest, but probably by 5 a.m. tomorrow. Any snow we're going to get is going to be on the ground. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, for most of you, whatever you see out your window is all you're going to get. But it may stick around for a while. We're not going to see a lot of sunshine. It's going to be mostly cloudy on Tuesday, and our temperatures will only get to right around freezing. So it's very possible that snow may stick for much of the day on Tuesday. We'll then drop back into the lower 20s Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then whatever snow or ice we do get will likely melt on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be mostly sunny and about 10 degrees warmer with highs in the low 40s. Hello, Taylor and Tommy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do want to mention again with these temperatures, though, that this is not really normal December cold. I know it's December, but it's still early December. Our typical highs this time of year are around 50. Instead, we're talking about 30s and low 40s through the next 7 days. So we are running colder than average for this time of year. We do have that chance for some wintry precipitation, some wintry mix and snow Monday night into Tuesday morning. It's what we've been talking about. It's what we're on alert for. Anything we get will probably melt on Wednesday, but it still stays very chilly all the way through the weekend. This weekend, there are going to be some partly to mostly cloudy skies and maybe a stray shower. Some have been hinting at maybe a snow shower Friday, maybe a few sprinkles Saturday night into Sunday, but I'm not seeing any clear indication of any widespread rain of any kind. I think any showers we get this weekend would be very spotty and fairly low impact, but it is going to be chilly, so keep that in mind. I know there's, events going on. The Henderson Christmas Parade is on Saturday. It's going to be mostly cloudy and fairly cold for that. Even looking beyond this then, the extended outlook for December 8th through the 14th, so looking ahead to the second week of December now, it does look like that trend toward below average temperatures may hang around for a while, but near average precipitation. So no major kind of rainy or snowy weather in the forecast as of right now, but obviously that's just an outlook, not a definitive forecast, just sort of the general trend as we look ahead to the next week. I'm not seeing any other questions. I can loop back around on some of this snow information for any of you that missed it, but I'm not seeing any questions about it right now. I will go back through the timing and the totals real quick, just for any of you who may have missed that and just haven't commented yet. I will say it's going to be dry for most of the day today. We may start to see a few sprinkles this afternoon because, like I said, those temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s, so it'll be cold, but not cold enough to snow. Then as those temperatures start to drop as the sun sets this evening, that's where we see that changeover, rain switching over to sleet and or snow, then eventually becoming all wintry weather as we get into the night tonight, eventually by the middle of the night changing over to all snow across the entire region. But that snow doesn't last very long. It then pushes off to the east by very early Tuesday morning, and I think will be dry by about 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Here's what the HER model, which is what I just showed you, is depicting for snow totals. I did forget to mention in western Kentucky, you'll notice the snow totals are a little lower. I do think, though, that if we were going to get any icing, the best chance of that is probably Hopkins and Muhlenberg counties. So I don't think it's going to be a major issue. Don't, be picturing major ice storm on me here, but just that thin little glaze of ice, just enough to be a pain in the neck. You know what I mean? It's hard to get off your windshield. It makes everything kind of slippery. That's what we could be dealing with, especially down in western Kentucky. That's a possibility overnight tonight into Tuesday morning. So you could end up with just a thin glaze of ice and then just a dusting of snow on top. Just enough to be slippery and kind of problematic. As you go farther north, I see less of an ice concern, but more of a snow concern. Still, though, we're talking about minor totals, probably an inch to an inch and a half at the highest. If this thing really overperforms, we could maybe get 2 inches, but I think that would be the far upper end of what we're going to get out of this system. Most of the models pretty consistently paint us at around a quarter of an inch to an inch. Most of us are depicted at closer to a ½ inch in most of the models. So again, this is going to be minor snow accumulation. We're talking about minimal to minor impacts across the region. It's not going to be a lot of snow, but it's going to be just enough that I do think we will have some slick roads, bridges, sidewalks as we all head out the door on Tuesday morning. So here's kind of a summary graphic for you. Anything we get before 6 o'clock this evening will probably be mainly rain. Very light, very spotty, but starting out as rain. After 6 o'clock, that's where temperatures are going to get cold enough we could maybe start to see some of that sleet or snow mixing in. Eventually, by the middle of the night, it'll be all snow, and then that ends very early tomorrow morning. By 5 a.m., the snow will be done and out of here, but we keep the alert day going a little longer because the impacts will linger all the way through the morning commute. We will probably have some slick roads and sidewalks out there through Tuesday morning, and in some locations, maybe even into Tuesday afternoon, because it's just not going to warm up very much. I mentioned earlier, those temperatures are only going to be getting into the lower 30s on Tuesday with mostly cloudy skies. So even though most of the day Tuesday will be dry, the snow and ice, whatever we get Monday night, may still be hanging around for a little while, and then whatever we get will most likely melt on Wednesday. Tommy asking about Owensboro. I think Owensboro could get a little bit of ice. I think it'll be mainly a dusting of snow, probably an inch of snow or less, but a little glazing of ice is certainly possible. I think there's better chances a little farther south, but Owensboro, I certainly wouldn't rule out a little bit of ice, but I think it'll mainly be a light snow for you guys in Owensboro. That would be the main impact. Again, ice can't be ruled out. This is going to be a very messy system. We've got rain kind of switching over, and as that happens, you could maybe get a little glaze of ice in the mix there. But I think the main impact is that this could be a light snow. Some models are depicting as much as an inch and a half of snow for Owensboro. Others are saying closer to a quarter inch. I think we'll probably land somewhere in between with a ½ inch to an inch, a pretty good bet. Again, not a ton, but just enough to make things a little bit slick out there. So please be careful on the roads and sidewalks anywhere in the tri-state. But that's Tommy specifically asking about Owensboro there. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll have an updated look at your forecast on 14 News at 11, and then obviously we'll talk a lot about this in 14 First Alert at noon, along with how this winter storm is impacting the rest of the country and folks flying and driving in the wake of Thanksgiving weekend here. And we'll have another update for you on their streaming platforms at 2:30, and then obviously the First Alert Weather Show tonight at 9. So if you have any questions or if there's any additional updates, you can get those at any of those times. And if you want to specifically ask questions on the stream here, we'll do another one of these at 2:30 this afternoon and again at 9 o'clock tonight. All right, hopefully I got everyone's questions answered and everybody feels prepared for this very minor winter storm system coming in tonight, but still could be impactful to that Tuesday morning commute. All right, everybody stay warm and stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day.